I've come out this morning chasing bass, and it's closed season. If you're going out chasing bass at the moment, it's closed season, so you need to check whereabouts you're allowed to fish, whether it's above weirs in tidal areas or not, and then in dams and things like that, depending on what state you're in. But I'm out chasing bass and it's really cold. The water temperature is dropping pretty quickly now, and the air temperature is pretty freezing first thing in the morning. So I've sort of waited till the sun's up. So I've missed the surface bite, and in winter it's a lot slower anyway, but I'm tragically just addicted to chasing bass at the moment. So I've come out to have a go. I'm going to take you through some of my decisions over the next sort of 15 or 20 minutes and just see if I can get anything. I've had a little bit of a fish this morning, mainly just testing some new lures that I've got from the States, and a few locally handcrafted timber lures that I've got my hands on from guys around Australia. But this morning I'm excited about the challenge of chasing bass in cold water conditions. One of my favourite lures for them are these little jackal squirrels, and tricked with a little bit heavier hooks give them a perfect suspension. And then I actually just had to fix this one up because it was out of tune a little bit after a lot of heavy work. You can see it's done a fair bit of fishing, but it just came out of tune, so it wasn't tracking straight. So I've just spent a little bit of time on the toe point there with the pliers, just subtly just fixing it up. If your lures are slightly swimming off to the side, it's not going to work as well. So you want to get it back in tune. The other lure that I've got is just a made up jig spinner from Z-Man with a little Z-Man head that's got that perfect little finish to it. It's not just a lead head. With this clear water, I'm trying to get the finish as close as I can to what's in here and try to capture as much light as I can to pull the fish in. And I've just got a little squidgy wriggler on the back. And during winter, a little wriggler like that, because of the slower retrieve, the bass are a little bit more sluggish, so they're not going to go chasing things down as much as they do in summer. So a little wriggler tail, you can just bring it in a lot slower, and that's the same for a little Colorado blade on your jig spinner. A slower retrieve is just going to still keep the vibe going and keep all the appeal going with a little wriggle tail. So that's what I'm going to use. It's just going to fish for about 15 minutes. So come along with me. We'll just keep the camera rolling and see if we can turn a bass up on the way back to the car. But during winter, what I try to do really is just start small and then work my way back up from there. And my retrieve is a lot slower. It's really important that you're fishing really light as well. So the clear water, because you don't have the turbulence and a lot of that sort of discoloured water from the rains that we get in summer, especially around the Gold Coast, southeast Queensland, the water tends to clear right up. So lighter line, maybe even a longer leader, that sort of thing, really good to think about and try doing that stuff. And then your casting accuracy becomes really important, because the fish are so sluggish, they're very reluctant to move off their snag, so you really have to get it in there, sit it in front of their face. And so a suspending lure like these little jackal squirrels, which has a really high grade of attention to detail on the finish, that's really what you're looking for. So you'll notice my retrieves really stop-start, sort of leaving it in there as well. A much lower chance of getting anything on the surface. But that's not to say that when your lure's sitting up there, the bass are still tuned in and paying attention to what's there. So just as I do in summer, when I throw it out there for a bass, I'll tend to leave it there and then just start to work it slowly under the surface. Still looking for these shadowed sections as well, and areas of heavy cover. So all this lay down timber is great. And ideally what you'd be doing, you can see the way the timber's laid down here, you'd really be trying to throw it in so that you're bringing it along the edge of the timber and trying to pull out any of those bass that are tucked in hard under against the cover and running it right beside them. Haven't seen any surface hits this morning or heard anything. Usually when I come out here in summer it's just alive and you can hear it popping and crashing in and against the bank and underneath all this grass. There's a southerly blowing. I've tried to get out of the wind. I don't know how well the audio is going to pick up for the next sort of 10 or 15 minutes. But where I can get good audio and I can talk you through some of my decisions, I'll keep the camera rolling and see what we can get. Yeah, the point about the close season as well, the spawning bass that can get down past weirs and back up, it's really important that they get left alone so that they can do their thing, and then the stocks in the system are healthy and they're not getting disturbed. That's the whole reason behind it. It's a lot different to what they do in America. They go after the spawning bass a lot in America. Found a surfboard, eh? Like a full stand-up paddleboard. Yeah, it's a stand-up paddleboard. See that? Hectic. Well, if you've lost your stand-up paddleboard, let me know. You're punished to come and get it. Somewhere here. Maybe lost in the floods. Been there a while, it's covered in weed. Traditionally, a lot of the bass lures that you would see bass fishermen using in creeks and rivers and things are a really slow retrieve and a wide action, really aggressive action. These little jackal squirrels, they're great on mangrove jack, and the bigger ones are dynamite on jacks and barramundi, but the smaller squirrels just have a little shimmy to them, and they kind of just represent a little, like a tiny little bait fish, like a little mullet or even a little guppy that's just shooting through the water, but they're a much more subtle presentation. So in winter, I just think they work a little bit better. If you follow, like Harry Watson brings them in, if you follow Harry Watson, you might have seen that he's catching some really good bass on these things at the moment. A few other guys that go around chasing bass in their kayaks are doing quite well, so. They're really one of my go-to lures when I'm fishing for bass at a slow morning. They still tend to turn up a fish or two, you know. Part of the reason I'm on this side of the bank, there's a couple of reasons for it. Just come over a section of rock where there's water pouring in, and there's a whole lot of river rock on that other side, so it's a little bit shallower, and this side tends to have that deeper section where it's still got that metre or so of shallows on it. So if you're out chasing bass, you're always looking for those shadowed areas where feeding bass can sit in and be using it as an ambush point. Because of this really heavy cover here, just another point that I think the bass are going to sit here and use to their advantage. Is it too far? close to the tree. There we go. One of the things that I'm thinking about while we're going along, it's often during winter the bass will school up and find these areas where they just sort of hold together. In summer they're out on the patrol and searching for food and really active all the time, especially in a little creek like this. So in winter you tend to find they can be, you know, pulled up in some of these deeper holes where they don't have to do as much work. So like deeper lures or things that are going to sink down a little bit deeper beside structure might even be better. So I'm sort of coming up to a bend here and I think this is probably going to be a better shot. There's cover here, so there's obviously going to be stuff that's going to slow down the water flow and make it easier for them with their slow metabolisms just to sit a lot more dormant and get comfortable. But the other thing is there's some big rocks down here too, which the rocks tend to act a little bit like heating irons and just heat up the water that moves around them. So I reckon maybe there'll be some warmer water just on this little pocket around the corner here. Maybe even if it's just half a degree or a degree, the bass are fully tuned into all of that, and that's where they'll come and sit. Especially the bass that are sort of a little bit more active. If you're lure fishing, you're looking for those changes in water temperature. And if there's decent cover, like decent structure for them, then you're onto a winner. So the rocks are just coming up here. Let's see what happens. It's more the case if they've had an afternoon of sun, I suppose. Like it's at the moment they haven't had that sunlight on them yet to heat them up and throw that water temperature and start kicking the water temperature up. That's why it's probably better like late afternoon if you're fishing winter, getting excited, you're like, oh, I can't wait for summer, I can't wait. You want to get out and do it a little bit. It's probably afternoons might be better when you've had a little bit more of that sunlight on the water for the day, and then the shadows are cast back over. You haven't had a freezing cold night with southerlies blowing. Take the sting out of the bite. Anyway, it's that sort of thinking, like that mindset when you're out here in the morning doesn't help you, so you've got to steer clear of that and just start thinking like fishing for an advantage. What can you do? What sort of things can you work into your favour? Obviously for me, like one of the big things is just my casting numbers, the numbers of casts that I can get in a session. Got barely any use of the paddle when I'm out here. It's all just ticking the motor on and off and little corrections. I'm using my feet, the little foot pedals, and I'm just cast. So compared to other kayak fishermen that can get access to this water, I already feel like I'm in the right space. What I'm thinking now is if I don't get another touch on this little jackal in the next couple of minutes, like I'm fishing good cover, there'd be fish there, no question, there'd be fish there, but they're just not interested. So I tend to switch up a lot, and I'm going to go to this little jig spinner, like it's like a beetle spin rig, and just fish with that and try and find a little bit of speckled light, like intermittent light with some shadows and things like that, where the water temperature might be just up a touch. But I can sit the lure in the face of the bass or drop it down and off and do it that way. Oh yeah, there's one. Got it. They're just sitting under the lily pads there, eh? It's a decent bass too. Here he comes. It's that moment you stop paying attention, eh? I was just looking at those cows, like just about to call out beef and see what happens, but there's like that moment I just slowed my retrieve down from those lilies, and there he comes. don't really want to use the net to get all the trebles hooked up. I just want to sit him on it. So I'll just sort of, there you go, so you can get a good look at him. He's in really good nick, eh? Like a winter bass. Great condition. Just going to see if I can sit him in it and pop the hooks out. There you go. A beautiful fish. He'd be close to that 40 or just over. And off you go, mate. I was just starting to question what I was doing, but hit a little bit different structure just around the other side of these rocks here. And it's what confidence lures do for you though. Like, they just tend to come through. This little jackal squirrel, such a slender profile, high cadence, very repeatable, great on the cast. Just gets it done in winter. I love it. Such a tragic when it comes to winter. Like, I've just got to get a way better winter game. I'm going to go after flathead a bit more, I think. Chase some bream, but can't get away from just drifting a creek. Like, this natural creek is just such a good getaway, even though like there's cars going by, I'm on the side of a road at times. Natural structured bass fishing is just so cool. Don't have the balls to go out and do the winter cod thing. Those boys are crazy, eh? We're doing that. Yeah, to be honest, like during winter for me, it's just a handful, 1 or 2 fish, and I'm stoked. It's usually really slow going, especially if you come out like mid-morning. Even on the fight, he was way more sluggish than a summer bass. Like, I could just feel the weight in him. Straight up, whereas usually you don't know what you've got. Like, that first run of a bass during the middle of summer is just so ruthless, and they're just very aggressive. They're on their way back to the snag, whereas he was just happy to fight me mid-water and like give me head shakes and stuff like that. I could feel the weight in him straight away. Like, yeah, during the middle of summer in a creek like this where there's great structure, I'd still be fishing the surface. Like, you can do it all day long in a good little creek with no problems. Might just swap sides. Partially because it's blowing on this side and I want to get into the calm stuff. So I'll just set you up there so you can see what I'm doing. Come over this side and start fishing. So part of my game at the moment is sort of working against me too. I'm fishing like 10 pound with a 9 pound leader, which is a little bit heavy for bass, I reckon. Like 6 and 8 pound is sweet for bass in a natural system like this. But especially when it's clear, like you want to go a little bit lighter when it's clear, but during winter, and if I'm throwing my little squirrels, I'm a little bit less inclined to go after numbers and try and get numbers up, which is what will happen if you're fishing lighter. I'm just sort of don't want to lose a $30 lure to a winter bass. I'm happy just being out here plodding along. So the setup's a little bit heavy for bass, if I'm really honest. Like it's great for casting, no dramas. It's a 6'6" rod, really accurate with it. It just gives me a little bit more confidence if I get a fish around this heavier cover when I'm fishing with a squirrel, that I can give it a bit of stick and try and get it out. This is sort of where I'd rather be using my little jig spinner. I'll chuck that out and give it a little underneath all this overhanging cover. You can get it right into that stuff. I haven't rigged it weedless, so a jig spinner with a weedless worm hook rigged on it is just so dominant for fishing heavy cover. Because you can just sink it right down into all that structure and drag it along the bottom or whatever. So a lot of the guys that are doing well in the dams and that sort of thing fish them like that. But this little puppy just with the straight, this little jig head with the exposed hook, sort of happy throwing the exposed hook, mainly because I'm like, oh, there's going to be fish. If I get a hit, some of them might be closed mouth bass hits, where they're not like crunching the lure, they're just like nosing it or trying to piss it off. Just kick through this section. It's just really shallow, not a lot happening. During summer, early morning though, different story. You've got all the lay down timber, those overhangs if the water's a little bit higher from some runoff. They're the spots you want to throw in, like those little finesse frogs or whatever. Any little surface plastic or something like that that you can skip in there, they're money. Pretty confident this little jig spinner is going to do the business. It's so effective. Like the little Colorado blade on these things, the way that it just catches the light, and intermittent light, just perfect. I'm fishing pretty shallow to be fair too. Like it's not ideal. I'm fishing sort of fast because I just want to get back to the car and get home to the kids. But if you had all day, you'd probably fish slower and deeper. Especially if you don't have a motor, you kind of push towards doing that. Here we go, this is the sort of country I was talking about with the rocks. Like river rock's a little bit different. If you've got river rock, then you know that there's turbulent water, it's pushing past it pretty quick, it's not going to heat it up. But where you've got these bigger rocks, just come in this into your shot in a sec, like these bigger rocks, where the water just pools and sits around them, and it's in the sun, tends to heat up, and the water will just rise up a little bit, that water temperature. See how effective this boat is in like getting snags off for a kayak and that, how quick it is. You get snagged, you just straight in on top of it, pop it and get out, keep fishing. It's so sick. That's what it is, like in and around these rocks, there's some lying down timber there. If I drag over timber, I'll just drop it. A lot of the time the bass are waiting just on the other side of this timber. boulders all underneath us here. Maybe it's a little bit of a shot for the just this little puppy in there a little bit. Little squirrel. I'll get another one, I'll be totally satisfied and we can call it. Just lost my tail. Rip it off. I might try one of these little Seaman minnows, like the Gold Rush. Just going to catch the light a little bit better too, I think. Just that underside with the gold fleck just catches the light, so I might give that a crack. It's got a bit bigger presence, which for me with these beetle spins, I love that tiny little presence. It's one of the reasons why I reckon they work in, you know, even in front of spinnerbaits at times. That still doesn't look too bad. Just get it flat. Yeah, but I reckon they work better in front of spinnerbaits at times because they're such a light approach. A lot of the times when you're fishing these things and the bass, the moment it hits the water, the bass are deciding yeah or no. And if you're fishing spinnerbaits in creek, sometimes that just the skirt, everything's just a bit overbearing. These little beetle spins, they've just got such a quiet land, especially if you thumb your spool right as she's about to hit. They're just a way better presentation to hit the surface. Right, so just doing a battery change and setting up again. I'm going to try and fish this sunny side now because I reckon it's a bit too cold for me in the shadows. The wind's up, it's damn cold, eh? I'm running 2 shirts, we might just might give this side a go. I reckon that the spinnerbait's going to just perform a little bit better if there's some sunlight. This side's got way better like laydowns and that sort of stuff. Because I'm sort of fishing fast, just drifting and motoring back to the ramp, I'm not really getting down deep into all the gaps in the rocks and things like that, so it's just going to suit me a little bit better. Give this side a go. See all the timber, eh? It's just that they must have had like crazy floods over like during summer. This place is going to fire next season. Doesn't always work just doing the little slingshot move with the timber. It's worth a shot though instead of having to go in there. Come on, bass. That's a retrieve that you want it running right beside that timber. If you can't get it right along the edge, just chuck it, all the gnarly stuff at the end, that's where a lot of the smaller bass are going to sit. A lot of the big ones are like deep under the main trunk, but little bass tend to sort of school on the edges and all the peripheries and all the little stuff where the insects will come and sit and dance around, spiders all fall in there and everything. So a couple other options, I'm not going to fish them, but you know, really small little rattling spots or rattle traps during winter, and a retrieve where you're just sort of playing with it and then letting it drop, playing with it, letting it drop. That's actually really effective during winter as well, because you've got that rattle just to wake them up, piss them off, and they'll come and take it. And with a rattle trap, you've got the two trebles like really close together, so your hookup rate's much better than just fishing a single hook spinnerbait where they can nose it and get away with it. With a little rattling lure, like a lipless crank or like a vibe, whatever, you've got trebles with just a much better hookup rate. You can pick up those fish even if you've got super sharp hooks without them even opening their mouth. You can just tag them on the side of their face or whatever. It's kind of weird, like by now you'd think, to be fair, you probably would have had a hit on this little beetle spin. I might go back to the squirrels. Oh yeah, I'm on. Sweetest little cast too. I don't know if you're going to get to see where I got it, but it was like pinned right in the back. I'll take it in and have a look. The same thing happened the moment I was just questioning, like, look at that beautiful bass. Check this out, I'll spin you around so you can have a sneak peek at where I chucked it. Epic. Right deep in there, is where I just poiked it. The minute I did it, I was like ripping on using the beetle spin, but I was like, hang on a second, I wouldn't have got in there with the squirrel because I was like about 40 metres back, and the little lead-headed jig spinner just allowed me to get in there. Oh, he's a stunning little bass. The colours in him, the greens and everything. God, he's gorgeous. Take a look at that. Oh man, what a beautiful bass. God, they're a good looking fish. Wow. Still worth coming out. If you love your bass fishing and you just can't get enough and you can't wait till summer, just getting like that one or two fish in winter, it's still really satisfying. The other thing that it does for you, like, you'll start to work out which lures can still fire right the way through the year. And it sort of separates the good lures from the great lures, really. And then it gives you an idea about what to do if you want to hammer in summer and really tune in. It's different if you're talking topwater lures. Like the game in winter is way slower, and you're not bringing in things that are going to pull fish in that are chasing it down, like a burnt little frog or a rolled like walking lure. But if you're fishing subsurface, like, it gives you an idea of which little crankbaits and jerk baits and things are going to really work on those tougher days. It's like 11 o'clock now. Pulled 2 fish. That's probably about 2 fish in about half an hour, I suppose. Like 20 minutes, half an hour. It's pretty good going. I'm covering loads of water though. You can see I'm still fishing real quick. So you can see what I've got. It's just a gold rush with that tiny little Colorado jig spinner. The packs that you're looking for, if you're like, what the hell are you talking about, a jig spinner? They're by TT lures. So that's what it is. You get them in, like, there's a pack of 3. I just use the size 1, and they're good quality. Like the little wire is still fairly strong, even though it's a small gauge. It's not as big as a spinnerbait, so small gauge wire is great for that more finesse style fishing. which is what fishing a little beetle spin is all about, really. That little bass, he was tucked up right in that little back corner all to himself, eh? Like, it was a sweet little funnel where anything on the surface was going to just drip in there, like get pushed in there with the wind pushing in, and he just had loads of cover around him to be really confident. He knew where he was too. Like, when I hooked him, I ripped him hard to get him out, but he straight away took me back around the other side. Like, he knew what cover to go and hunt for to try and snap me off or wrap me around something. There's another little section of the same one. We'll take that up too. So one of the styles of fishing with kayak fishing that you can do is like side right up against the bank and then bring it in, but for me it's not as effective as throwing in there adjacent, because you're trying to get these fish that are tucked into little pockets. So when you're doing that, often you sort of, unless you've got to drop off like a ledge that you're fishing along, you're missing all the little nooks and crannies that the bass are sitting in. And if the bass aren't as eager to shoot out and smash your lure, then they're not going to come out and grab it. You're way better off like sitting off the bank, throwing in, hitting all the little tiny shadows and areas like that, instead of just drifting along the bank or whatever and casting bankside. You're missing a lot of good water, like all the honey holes you just miss when you do that. It does have its purpose by its use. When there's ledges and things, or, you know, if there's loads of timber out off the edge. Yeah, so hopefully that little bit of a session gives you an insight into some of the things I think about while I'm out here chasing bass. The first fish was taken on that jackal squirrel, and the second one on this little jig spinner with a gosle minnow in gold rush colour. I'm going to keep doing some of these long form videos over the next few years, and hopefully it'll just help you with your decision making and that sort of thing, and your lure selection and your changes and things. You know, they might get a little bit long-winded at times, but I think it's really valuable for people to see what it's like on the water, for people that are, you know, chasing fish in different conditions and the decision making that they're going through, especially if you're starting out. It just helps with your confidence and things like that, and understanding why you might go for a different lure or retrieve or something like that. So if you're getting some value out of it, great, and just let me know in the comments below, or if there's some lures that you'd like to see me try in different situations, just leave a comment in the section below and I'll get onto it. But until then, keep fishing, and I'll see you in the next one. Take a look at that. Oh man, what a beautiful bass. God, they're a good looking fish.